Joseph Parker makes history and becomes the first ever world heavyweight champion from New Zealand by defeating Andy Ruiz on a 12-round majority decision to capture the WBO heavyweight world title, which was vacant going into this fight. Now, I'm going to give you my personal scorecard. I had it 116 to 112 for Joseph Parker. That's how I had it scored. So I had Parker winning by a pretty comfortable margin. One of the judges scored it a draw. To me, that's a little bit of a head scratcher. I can't off the top of my head recall what the other two judges had it, but they might have had it similar to me, Parker by a number of rounds. Now, first of all, the fight itself, in terms of a spectacle, it wasn't particularly entertaining. I was hoping for a more entertaining fight than this. It was okay to watch, but certainly nothing special. Going into the fight, Joseph Parker, and fighters say many things in the lead up to fight, so you often take them with a pinch of salt, especially when they're talking about tactics. But Joseph Parker said in an interview in the lead up to the fight that he would try and emulate the tactics that Lennox Lewis used against David Tua, his countryman. He would try and do that exact same thing against Andy Ruiz. And that is in fact what he did. Lewis picked the perfect tactics to beat David Tua in the safest possible way. And similarly, Joseph Parker picked the perfect possible tactics to defeat Andy Ruiz in the safest possible way. But in doing it in the safest possible way, it definitely didn't make it that entertaining. And you have to be honest, it was a pretty negative performance by Joseph Parker. Not the most negative thing I've ever seen, but it was pretty negative. Let's be real here. But tactically, it was spot on. Now, the Carlos Takam fight was really a dress rehearsal for this fight when you look at it, when you look at the big picture, because he made a number of mistakes in the Takam fight, which he didn't make in this fight. In the Takam fight, he seemed a bit too eager to engage early on. And by the fourth or fifth round, you could notice Joseph Parker was blowing in the Takam fight. He was tired. And by the halfway stage, it looked like his gas tank was empty against Takam. Whereas here against Andy Ruiz, he was much more cautious in the first few rounds against Ruiz than he was against Takam. He was using his legs a hell of a lot more, staying away. He knew that Ruiz was dangerous anytime you engage him. He knew that from watching him, obviously, and also from sparring him. And Ruiz indeed is very dangerous when you engage him. I know he's a fat guy and you would imagine him to be slow, but he is actually razor sharp on the counter when you get anywhere near him, Andy Ruiz. So Parker, from a tactical point of view, got his spot on. Don't give this guy any opportunities. Keep it long, keep moving around, keep turning him, and don't engage him unless, you really feel it's safe to do so. So that's one of the things that he corrected from the Takam fight, is he didn't engage too early and he kept moving, he kept using his legs. And also, I think his stamina was better in this fight than it was in the Takam fight. And that's not just down to the fact that he may have had a very, very good training camp and trained very hard, but I also think that's down to the activity that Joseph Parker's had this year, because he's fought numerous times. So his fitness level just keeps going up and up. I mean, he only just fought, when was it now? A couple of months ago against Dimitrenko. So his fitness levels right now are tremendous. And he was like the Energizer Bunny throughout the whole fight. Apart from maybe the last two rounds, he started to slow down a bit. But really and truly, I know he didn't throw that many punches in this fight. It's not like it was David Tua versus Ibeabuchi in terms of punch output, but he threw a decent amount in each round, and he was bouncing around the ring all over the place. For a guy of 6'4" and close to 250 pounds to be able to move like that and let his hands go at times and throw a lot of jabs and all that kind of stuff, that takes tremendous fitness levels. Joseph Parker is a tremendous athlete. I know I had a debate with a couple of people in the comment section of my final thoughts video on this fight prior to the fight, and somebody was saying that they don't think Parker's in particularly good condition, and elsewhere on the internet as well, I was debating people. But to me, again, it's just down to genetics. you could have two people do the exact same workout routine, the exact same training camp, and eat the exact same diet, and one of them will turn out more ripped than the other guy because his genetics are just better for that. His body metabolizes fat more efficiently. So the proof is in the pudding. Joseph Parker was able to move around all over the place. He was able to jab. He was able to put his hands together. That's definitely the sharpest I've seen Joseph Parker in terms of the way his punches were coming out was very, very sharp. And I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Joseph Parker, in terms of hand speed and combination punching ability, is definitely the best of the big heavyweights, the guys who are 6'4" and over. There's no guy 6'4" and over in the heavyweight division who's as fast as Joseph Parker or who's as good at throwing combinations. Yeah, so he's very athletically gifted, very talented, and he used that very, very well in this fight from a tactical point of view. Again, emulated what Lennox Lewis did to his countryman, David Tua, did it effectively. So I think it was a good tactical performance. That's not obviously going to work against the upper echelon of the division, because the upper echelon of the heavyweight division are all big guys. So Joseph Parker's going to be forced to actually get involved against a lot of them at least. Maybe not all of them. Some of the slower big guys, he might be able to use similar tactics and get in and out. But against the likes of a Tyson Fury, a Klitschko, maybe even a Joshua, definitely a Wilder, he would have to get involved a lot more than he got involved against Andy Ruiz. You know, these big, tall, lanky guys with long arms, he's going to have to get close to them because he's 6'4". These guys are taller than him with longer arms. So I thought it was a good performance, if not a exciting performance. And I'm a little dubious about that scorecard, which had it a draw. I know Bob Arum was in attendance, and Bob Arum is Andy Ruiz's promoter. I don't know if he had anything to do with that. But let me know what you guys think. How did you have it scored? Was it similar to me? Again, just to remind you, my scorecard, I had it 116, 112 for Joseph Parker. So that's pretty comfortable in my scorecard. Maybe you had it closer. Apparently, there are people out there who did have it closer. There are some people who scored it a draw. Some people who are scoring it all types of different ways. I just feel as though neither guy was landing that many clean punches in most of the rounds. But Joseph Parker, I think, was a bit busier than Andy Ruiz in most of the rounds. And for me, I gave it to him a lot of the time on just being busier and ring generalship. Andy Ruiz was applying pressure a lot of the time, but not effective pressure. He wasn't cutting the ring off effectively. And, you know, it was funny to me listening to the commentary because one of the commentators kept saying, why don't Andy Ruiz speed his feet up? That's like telling a tortoise to speed its feet up. Yeah, Andy Ruiz is a big fat guy. No disrespect, but he's not going to speed his feet up in the middle of a fight. Yeah? He's like 6'1", 255 pounds. His feet ain't going to speed up. Yeah, you have to understand there are physical constraints that Andy Ruiz is dealing with. So that is what that is. One thing as well that I liked from Parker in this fight, which he used quite a bit, was he was hooking off the jab. He would throw a couple jabs to draw Ruiz's guard forward while he protects his face, and then he would throw a little left hook round the side. That's a move I do like, a move I actually used to use myself back in the days. So I did like him hooking off the jab like that. He would throw, fast double jabs and then hook. And he caught Ruiz with that punch numerous times throughout the fight. Both guys showed good chins. I have to say that before I close out the video. Both guys showed they could take a shot. People are probably going to question the punching power of both of these guys, though. To be fair, they're going to say, well, is Joseph Parker really the biggest puncher? Is Andy Ruiz really the biggest puncher? Both of them landed clean at points. Parker more so than Ruiz. And neither one of them showed the slightest, inclination that they were hurt at all. Particularly Ruiz. He really did ship some pretty clean shots here and there from Joseph Parker. And he was never remotely staggered or hurt by any of them. So I think it's fair to say at this point that both these guys have got at least fairly solid chins. If there was any David Price type chin problems, they would have manifested themselves by now, not even just in this fight, but in their previous fights, because they've both taken shots in previous fights, particularly Andy Ruiz. So I think both guys have got solid chins. If only Ruiz could drop that weight, because he really is carrying so much body fat. If he was in any type of shape where he could speed his feet up, he could be a major player, because his hand speed is tremendous, Andy Ruiz. Let's be real. And he's very, very sharp on the counter. I know I mentioned this already, but I really feel like I have to reiterate because it's so impressive. Very, very sharp on the counter when you attack him. So those are my thoughts on the fight, people. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know how you felt about the performances of both men. Let me know what you felt about the fight in terms of the entertainment value. Let me know about how good you think either of these fighters are. How do you think either of them, particularly Parker, would fare against the upper echelon of the division? Drop it all in the comment section below and let me know. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.